All right, welcome back to another live here at the Old Card Shop. We don't do these too often, but I felt like it was a good time and a good place to do this right now with the release of Pokemon 151, which just came out this Friday, and the release of the English set coming out in September. We have about 3 months of hype to kind of go through before we actually get the full dumping of product out there in the market. I thought it was a good time to kind of talk about what's going on with just in general this set and the Japanese market as a whole. Now, as a lot of you guys know, I am not really a big Japanese investor in Pokemon. I'm not really a big Japanese Pokemon collector either. So I honestly am not the best person to speak on this. So this is just my opinion. So roast me in the chat, roast me in the comments if you watch this afterwards. Please tell me where I'm wrong. But I personally have been struggling seeing these boxes, seeing these boxes, seeing this tag or this remix boxes. I mean, these types of things that were for many years considered to be sort of just undesirable or desirable to collectors and people wanted them, but definitely certainly not a stonking type product. But just Japanese product in general, for the vast majority of my time in the hobby, which I mean, I have been in the hobby not that long. I feel like I got in the hobby like everyone else when I was a wee lad, but then I got out of the hobby and got into other things like Magic the Gathering and all these other card games, and I sort of drifted away from Pokemon. But then when I got back into Pokemon in like late or early 2019, when like Hidden Fates was coming out, and it wasn't the Pokemon Go boom that brought me back, which is interesting because like I was really into Pokemon Go and really into cards, but not into Pokemon cards when Pokemon Go came out. So it wasn't that in Evolutions, it was Hidden Fates is what it was. But that being said, Japanese product was always thought of as being sort of the cheaper alternative when you couldn't get English because it was had a cheaper MSRP. It was sort of better print quality. The tens were sort of guaranteed when you graded, so there wasn't that condition rarity. And it was always the original printing, but it wasn't always thought of as being like first print, first edition for whatever reason. Maybe it was always wrong. Maybe the hobby has always had it wrong. And I've been in a lot of discords, a lot of conversations over the years of my hobby, back in the hobby, where a lot of Japanese collectors, they've really been harping on me being an English collector, saying like, look, Old Card Shop, I get that you like what you can read, but Japanese is actually the real first edition. So, and I get that. But what I struggle with is like that all being said, that's all been on the table for a long time now. What makes this specifically better than this? The old back. I want to know what is exactly causing this thing, this here, the modern, the product that was just printed to oblivion, whatever it is, printed to the ground recently in the last 5-6 years, as opposed to something like this old back, which as if you're going to compare what's been going up in price lately and what's not in like Japanese as far as like the different cards and different values and things, waifus, obviously everyone knows that, but what people aren't really talking about is the fact that proportionally old back Japanese stuff really isn't moving that much. It's not moving that much in value, and I find that to be quite strange. Now maybe that's going to be like the slow get going, and it's going to eventually start ticking off like all of these other things with Japanese, but there's nothing slow about the Japanese version of like this card, the explosion of growth that's happened, or the Acerola from VMAX Climax that just not a couple of like months ago I couldn't sell for less, more than $200 as a PSA 10. Now it's I think close to $1,000 or something. It just seems to be a little bit funky and a little bit I dare say bubbly. So that leads me to the real reason why I wanted to have this live is just because a lot of you guys who are watching this have probably been here for the vast majority of what we've gone through in the last couple of years. I know this because my channel is kind of young. A lot of you guys are pretty new subscribers. I don't do lives very often. I see a lot of your comments, and it does seem like you've kind of been around the last couple of years. But for those of you who weren't around during the English boom in 2020, 2021, I just want to talk about what happened during that time because I think it's very relevant as as opposed to what's happening right now. Because what's happening in Japanese feels very, very much so similar to what happened in English, except English had all these other catalysts in 2021 and 2020 that sort of boomed this Pokemon boom into existence. Whereas with this new modern Japanese boom that we're seeing here, the catalysts aren't there, or the obvious signs aren't really there. It's just like, oh yeah, dude, these are always been great. The Japanese stuff's always been there. It's really cool. And you should have seen that. And now everyone's appreciating it. Now they realize they can't get any more. I just feel like it's a little bit less obvious than that. So I just think it's an interesting sort of thing happening. And so now you apply that to what's going on with 151. It's a whole nother story about what's happening with that situation. And that's really another thing I wanted to talk about is what we're seeing in from now until the September release of the English release of the English 151 is we're going to see a large wave of product hit the market. Whether that's going to be from the initial first wave, what everyone's going to open, dump because they put their house loans, they put their store loans, they put their medical loans, whatever they could into this product, because whether it was going to be good or not, they needed it to be good. Feels a lot like the Charizard UPCs. And so this product is going to be out on the market for the next 3 months. It's going to be around here. So the thing about FOMOing into this product on release is just don't do it. Like, it really shouldn't be something that you guys are that worried about. Also, the whole race to the bottom thing, if you're going to say old card shop, I get that you're telling me not to FOMO. If I was a collector boy, I'd be listening to you. But since I'm going to flip it and I'm a flipper and I've been watching all these, like, these awesome big brain YouTube channels that tell me flip Japanese, grade flip, be first to market, get that premium and take the money from the Timmies. I'm here to tell you that might not necessarily work out the exact same way every single time. Now, of course, everyone says, oh, yeah, it's going to work. You just say that because you want to do it yourself. Like, I mean, you can believe me if you'd like, but that's not the kind of stuff that I'm personally grading. So it has nothing to do with personal interest. I do worry about what I see some of my friends in the hobby and some of the vast majority of the hobby doing, just because I do feel like it's one of those things. It's like, it only works until it doesn't. And then once it doesn't, it's a quick sort of exit strategy everyone has to take when they're left holding all these like heavy bags, so to speak. So with 151, what I believe is going to happen is we're going to see this initial wave hit the market like we did. There's always that pump in the beginning where everyone wants to pay and open it up on Whatnot and Drip and all these live streaming, websites for $50 a pack or whatever it is, do their crazy bounties. But after that initial hype, you're going to see it die down. And eventually people are going to see what the singles should probably be priced. And they're going to start kind of losing that FOMO or letting it cool off or die down. And once they do, you can sort of move in and you can see where the singles are really probably supposed to be actually priced. And so over the next few months, I think that you should be really watching the market. If you really care about these cards, if you're not just like stonking about this because you want to flip it, if you are trying to flip it, you should also be watching this because it's important what price you get in at. But you should definitely be interested to see what's going to happen with it. If you're interested in the set as a collector or someone who just wants to get into it as like an investment, because if you do really like the 151 set, I'm not trying to sit here and say it's a bad set. I personally think it's the best set Pokemon's made since Hidden Fates. And everyone says that every time, but I really do think that it's a great set. So I personally am wanting some of the 151. I haven't exactly decided whether it's going to be English or Japanese, but I'm trying not to let the FOMO and the hype cloud my judgment, because the last thing I would ever recommend anyone do is sort of go towards what everyone else is doing. It's like a moth to the flame. You're just going to get burned if you do that. You want to try to go around the periphery, sort of be smart about your decisions, watch what the market's looking at, watch what the market likes, but maybe not so much play into that hype, because that's sort of important here. So I haven't been attending to the chat here, and I do want to put a couple of you guys up on the screen and see what you guys have been saying, because I've just been sort of ranting, and, shout out to PK. Love you, buddy. It's sort of inspired by one of your rants here. But there's just been so much going on. And this isn't even talking about like the waifu situation and the fact that the stores, because there was so much of an influx of the 151 that came out, they stopped their buy lists for, as of today, Saturday. I've been hearing the rumor is that most of the bigger stores in Japan have turned off their buy lists, and that's causing like a massive scale panic in Japan from sellers and resellers. Because, like, if you think about it, if you have an easy way to just dump your product, say, okay, if you're going to invest a ton of money into Pokemon 151, you're going to take a loan out, you're heavily leverage into this set. If you know that if you don't have a buyer on eBay or on Mercari or on your local card shop or your local whatever whatnot, wherever you're selling, if you could just turn around to a card shop and go to their buy list and just click a button and offload as much of it as you want to a buy list, it seems like it lessens some of the risk and the anxiety from wanting to purchase that product. So it's a very desirable situation to be in. So imagine you're one of these businesses. You just put your whole life's earnings, your whole mansion, your house, whatever you leveraged into this set. And the second that the set comes out, all the stores say, wait a second, we're not buying anything from it. No buy list. They just turn it off for a second. I mean, you can say all you want about, like, well, if those people put all that leverage into the set in the first place, they shouldn't be worried about it on the first day it comes out. That's a little bit of cause for anxiety. So I would just say it would be interesting to watch the market. And because over this weekend, if the stores don't turn on their buy lists again, or if that's sort of like a rumor and only a couple stores turn off the buy list and everyone else is still buying and it's not a problem, then you're not going to see any ramifications. But like, if the buy lists in Japan for stores on 151 get like turned off or essentially dampened down, they put some water on the fire, it might not be a good situation for a lot of people who are over leveraged. So I'm not entirely sure what we're going to see here, but it is definitely interesting to talk about. All right, what's up, everyone? I see some familiar faces in here. Leaf, Green Goblin, Pikachu, Walrus. Love to see all you guys here. Thanks for coming in. Aaron, good to see all you guys. But yeah, it's I want to know what you guys think about this. I don't do these rants often, as Peak has said. I'm just sort of I just had dinner and I had some extra time and I was talking the Discord and people were talking about all this FOMO and all this stuff, and I just wanted to kind of get in before people really FOMO'd, but it looks like I'm too late. It has already been done. Yeah, I personally, as far as like MSRP and English, it's really early to say, but like when you're doing your pre-orders, I haven't decided yet whether I'm gonna go up on English 151 or going on English or Japanese. Currently in my head, I'm saying I want the Japanese 151. Like, this is not normal Josh speak, because normal Josh would be like, oh yeah, I'm all English, like I don't even care about the Japanese. But like, it's not the hype for Japanese right now, but I've really enjoyed the set composition of the 151 set in the Japanese set. And I'm really, 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 really worried they're going to take a bunch of cards out and put them into promo boxes. And it's going to mess with like how the set feels in English. And so I might get the Japanese on this one just because of like set composition. And that's not something I usually say, so kind of interesting. But what do you guys think about that? Are you going English or Japanese? Or are you doing both? Because I don't know if my wallet can handle doing both. I'll probably do a little bit of both. I'll get the English product I like the most, but maybe I'd do more Japanese booster boxes. All right, so let's see what else you guys been saying here. Hey, PokeFresh, how's it going? Yeah, so I want to know, do you guys think that this whole Japanese situation is a bubble, or do you think that I'm sort of a boomer and that everyone was late to the train, and the Japanese modern is meant to take off, and Japanese vintage is also probably going to take off because of that, and there's only one way to go but up? Because I've definitely experienced that sensation in the 2020 boom, and that sentiment was had on English as well. So So that's a interesting point. I wonder if we'll ever get to the point in Pokemon that we do with Magic. So Aaron says, "Where's the $2 million bounty for the Erica Master Ball foil?" Is that the best Master Ball in the set? Is it not the Pikachu? It's the Erica. Or is it something else? Like what? I mean, is that I don't even know anymore because I would think it was the Pikachu or who knows? Like. Yeah, I personally think that my favorite thing in the set has nothing to do with like the weird variant Master Ball thing. I think that's a gimmick, and I'm already over the Master Ball thing, like the versus the Pokeball thing. I'm also over the whole God Pack thing. Like, I get that that's like a really cool Japanese thing, but for some reason, I don't like it. I don't know. There's no reason to not like it. It's not hurting me. It's never hurt me at all. It's just like maybe okay. Here's what it is. I think what it is. It's not that I dislike God Packs. I think the fact is that the fact that we don't get them in English, I'm a little bit salty and it makes me not like them altogether. I think that I'll be honest, maybe that's what it is. Um, but yeah, as far as the set is concerned, I did look through all of the art formally for the first time. I was actually discussing it with my podcast host, Retrospects. He was talking about what he was buying, and I hadn't looked at the set composition because I was trying to stay away from it because I just knew I'd FOMO and hype into it. And I was like, look, man, I haven't even seen the set yet. I haven't seen what my favorite ones are, and I gave it a look, and I actually really like the set. But my top three and my top four, I don't know if they're the same as maybe they are the same as everyone else's, but like I'd say my top three Pokemon in the set, my top three cards in the set, it's got to be number one is the Mew. I feel like the Mew is the best card in my 100%, in my honest opinion, and I love it to pieces. So I personally think that Mew, if they take it out of the English set and put it into the UPC, which is my thought, it would sort of take the enjoyment out of opening the set because I don't care about opening the gold Mew. I want to open the sunset Mew. But if they make that a promo, then it's going to be less desirable for me to want to go after it in the set, like opening experience wise. So that's number one. It's the Mew. But then after that, I think it's really the Pikachu. The Pikachu, just the regular art rare, is one of my favorite cards in the whole set. And it's probably a really cold take because everyone loves Pikachu, but like the art, the colors, and everything, and I think it's gonna be a really easy pull. I'm excited for that card. And then also, if I was gonna put my third on the list, it's got to be like one of the hollows that I think they did a really good job with. I love the Gengar. So like my top three cards in the set is probably like one of the secret, the art SARs, whatever they're gonna call them in English. Then one of the hollows, the Gengar is up there. I haven't decided if I like the Gengar or the Pikachu better, but I like all three of those. So those are my top three. And then at number four is Zapdos. Like it's very close. Number three and four is Zapdos, and because the Zapdos is so good. The SAR, it's like really good. In my opinion, it blows. Besides the Mew, it blows the others out of the water. So yeah, so what do you guys think? What's your favorite stuff in this set? Give me a top three cards in the set. I want to hear what your guys' top three favorite arts in the set. And it could be like what your favorite thing is to grade, what your favorite things are going to be to sell, what you're going to favorite to collect, whatever you think. Walrus living up to your name here, giving us some good comments. He throws a good point here. We're godless in the West apparently, and he says that's why we get no God Pack. That's up. Nice. Danny agrees with me about the English Mews going to UPC. It says it on the box. It says that you're going to get an etched Mew and then a Mewtwo. I think it was. You're getting like an etched Mew and then like a gold or like a metal Mew. So I'm pretty sure the etched Mew is going to be the alternate art. I don't think they're going to do the full art one there, but you guys have to. Correct me. Oh, the Poliwhirl. That's on my top five for sure. It's definitely like 5 or 6. It's flirting with 5 or 6. I didn't think anyone else would ever see that. So I'm glad that you called me out on that because I thought I'd be weird for saying I like Poliwhirl. Poliwhirl has never gotten any love though, and I don't think it will. Even with that beautiful artwork, I don't think there's anything to the Poliwhirl can do. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys are Poliwhirl fans and I'm tripping. I just know that the Poliwrath has forever been the meme of base set. And so if, Poliwrath can't make it out, then Poliwrath is pretty cool, I feel. So Snorlax is in top five, I'm sure. That's probably number 4 or 5, 6 maybe. If you don't, I keep forgetting. There's so many good cards. So my top 5 is gonna have to go to a top 7 because I keep on wanting to make a top 5 that I have to push one out. So yeah, the Snorlax is good too. That was what I was saying. The retro is going to be a good grader. I think Snorlax has always been a good sell through. So I'm excited for the sake of like opening packs and grading things for the Snorlax because I also think it'll be cheap. People will inevitably sleep on the English set. Once it comes out, it's going to basically come out hot and heavy. You're going to see packs get leaked on these breaking websites a month or more early, and they're going to go for like $50, $100 a pack with their stupid bounties. And then what's going to happen is people are going to get tired of the set before it even comes to market. All this drama is going to happen. All these drama accounts are going to report on it. You're going to have me just sitting here seething, angry because I'm not going to break street date, but I'm going to be watching all of my constituents breaking street, or not my constituents, but all my fellow hobbyists in like these breaking sites breaking street date just because everyone else is doing it. And like, how do you fault these people when your competition is all doing it and you have to be forced to compete? I mean, that's partially why I stopped pack breaking, because it's just a rat race I don't want to race on. It's like you feel like you have to cheat to win. It doesn't feel right. And so it's going to happen, but I do know for a fact it's going to be coming out for the course of several months on the shelves. If I know anything about English and I know how people are with it, they're going to get really tired of seeing this set, and it's just going to sit there. So personally, I don't think anyone should be worried about the set selling out on like Pokemon Center. Like they're probably going to do another drop of Pokemon Center online. I know people kind of are concerned that because of Scarlet and Violet and Paldea, and also the new Charizard set with the Pokemon Center ETB selling out, that they're not going to restock them after that, and they think they're on this like new lower print wave. I assure you that there will be at least one, if not several more restocks of the Pokemon Center ETBs for the specialty set of 151. I don't know what the promo is going to be yet. Probably the Snorlax. Knowing that the front of the box has a Snorlax on it, I would imagine it's going to be the Snorlax as the promo. But yeah, I definitely think that it's going to be interesting to see the dichotomy that happens between the English and the Japanese, because I also think that the Japanese will eventually get there. I said this in, I think it might be the Discord that I said this in, shout out Professor Oak's Discord. If you're not already in Professor Oak's Discord, DM me, or I'll put, better yet, I'm going to put it in the description down below, the link to the Discord for anyone who's not in the Discord who wants to join, because you really should be. It's a great Discord to be a part of. It's just full of great people with great conversations, a lot of differing opinions. We're having some good debates there today, so you can message me if I don't get around to doing that soon enough. But yeah, I think that we were talking about it, and I personally think that this is going to be the set that's going to break the camel's back in Japan. I think that this is the set that everyone over leveraged on. I think the stores in Japan just put too much into it, and I think the American consumers are going to see it. And I think that we're going to hold back, and you're already seeing the prices of the booster box sort of tank. They were like $150 just not yesterday or the day before, and they're like $120, $115 right now. I've seen them, and they're probably going to go lower before we're even seeing the reprint come. And so then what happens when the actual reprint gets to people's hands? This is like just when they're saying print to demand. Now, print demand this time is only one box per person, which is not nearly enough. So it's going to be very interesting to see what's happening. But I personally am going to be watching, because I do think that now I've heard a lot of the character rares. So it worries me though, because people are saying online, I was in a Discord or in a Facebook group, and I was just reading the comments, and someone posted, not to like blow this person up or anything, but they posted a picture of this Charizard, and it was $170 something. The Charizard was the screenshot on their eBay shot. And they were saying, hey, how is this Charizard this low on release date? This can't be good for the set. And I thought they were like joking or memeing or something. I actually thought that they were like saying that it was high, but I reread it and they're like, no, how is it so low? It's not good. And I had to like ask them, wait, you think 170 something dollars for a card, a single card in the set, a modern card is low? Like for a 40 something dollar booster box? That's insane. Like the world that I feel like, yeah, comparatively, like for other Charizards and other releases, maybe, but I had to sit there and be like, no, no, man. I remember celebrations and like it can go lower than 150 bucks. Trust me. Now I don't know. It's sort of interesting. Uh, Good to see a lot of you guys coming in here. Ponga, what's up? Pokemon DNA, what's going on, man? Good to see you guys. Yeah, I'm thinking V Star Universe, Pokemon Go, VMAX Climax. That they're all indicators to me. And like I said in the beginning of the stream, anyone who's tuning in now, I've admitted that I play in the English realm far more than I play in the Japanese realm. So for me to be talking like I know about Japanese, I can only state my experience, what I've seen. I can't pretend like I've been naive to it though. So like just because I don't buy Japanese doesn't mean that I'm totally inexperienced in it. But I am not a Japanese connoisseur. But that being said, my experience and what I've seen in the past, it has shown exactly what DNA is saying. V-Star Universe, Pokemon Go, VMAX Climax. And if you look just tag GX, and if you look a little farther back, or the Shiny Star V set, and that one never really recovered. Well, it's fine. The Shiny Star V is fine now, but it was rough. Shiny Star V for a while was rough, and I'm still pretty bearish on that set. But the other sets like Tag GX, they've done quite well. But there was a long time like, where's my Tag GX box? Oh, it's way up there. I remember buying the Tag GX All-Star box for like 50 something dollars in the English boom in 2020, 2021, and we bought it because we couldn't get English cards, and we're like, well, I guess we're gonna get some Japanese stuff that's cheap. There's some really cool stuff. That's what these Japanese buyers are going to start doing in English eventually, and it's just going to move back over to English because it's cheaper than the Japanese that's like unavailable, and then they're going to crush with the reprint. So it's so interesting. It's so interesting to see like the sentiment just kind of go back and forth and change, whether it's like a reprint or whether it's a bullshit. And then like the Japanese market in general is just literally on fire right now, but it's in no way. Can someone explain to me what's happening in the Japanese market? I was worried. I sold a Charizard the other, like probably 4 weeks ago, probably about a month ago now. It was a Flash Fire equivalent Japanese Wild Blaze first edition Charizard. I sold it for like $1,200, and I comped it. It sold in auction for like 1,000. It was buy it now for like 1,500. So I came kind of in the middle at 1,200 and sold it for that without fees or whatever. And I felt pretty good about that. In the last month, I've been so worried about looking at the price of what that card was after all this crazy boom. I didn't even want to know what it's going for these days. Like, so I finally went. I broke down. I saw the price of it, and thanks to shout out Nick, he helped me get to that point. Is through a lot of therapy and talking through text message. We finally got to the point of finding the price of what the Charizard. It's only like 1,500. It's like 18. It went up like $200 or $300. Meanwhile, the Acerola from like VMAX Climax, which was 40, 50 bucks a box for the longest time, is $1,000 plus card now. Huh, shows what I know. And I just had that shit just sitting on my shelf forever. So like, what is going on with the market? I need to know what's happening. How can you guys, since I am not a Japanese collector, please in the chat, help me. What is happening? Yeah, it's it's wild. What's happening is pretty wild. What's in the market, and it's something that I feel like a lot of people just are talking about, but I need to make a live about it because I rarely do these lives, and I think it's just one of the things that I'm going to look back on once this like bubble has burst. And I think a lot of people are going to call me like a bear because I have the bear hat here, and I've been bearish on this whole situation, calling it a bubble, but I'm really very bullish on Pokemon. I do think the prices will probably do what English did and they'll settle. they'll go up and they'll go down and they'll settle a little higher than what they were before. I do think that these boxes, what they were priced at, the tag team boxes, the alternate arts, and that goes for the English ones too, were really low. And I think they were lower than they should have been for a long time. I don't know if they deserve that like springboard that they did, but they certainly deserve to go up. So that sort of makes sense to me. But someone needs to understand, to explain like the waifu the waifu situation, because that's the part that I don't get. And I guess that's maybe what DNA, the good point he's making here is, I'm just spending too much time asking about it. But why is this card $50 in English, the Iridia, and I don't know, what is it in Japanese, like 200, $300? Like what is the difference between that? This one only grades a 10 probably like 70-80% of the time because of English quality. The other one grades a 10 like 100% of the time. Like, what is the difference? I don't get it. How is it that I'm very confused about that. And once again, I guess I don't have to like explain to capitalize, but that's the thing. I can't capitalize if I don't understand. I need to understand to capitalize. Yeah, and so I think that what Walrus is saying here, he says most people miss out because they think bubbles burst. Some just because become the new norm. I think what he's saying is important, but I disagree with this particular bubble and this particular sentiment. But I agree with a lot of what he's saying, because I think that people wait too much for validation, and they wait for too much for what the YouTubers or the market, or they wait to see those first comps or those first sales data or those first PSA 10s come to market before they make their move, or they wait to be told that everyone else is not doing it, so it's safe to do, and then they do it. And that's when it's too late. If you're doing any of that, you're waiting, and any of that, it's too late. So I agree with the sentiment that people miss out because they're too slow to pull the trigger on things. But I don't think I think that it's a little different in some cases. In the case of like this bubble, and in my case, I will say I'm just not playing into it. I can only speak for myself. I can't play into it as much because I don't know. Maybe the bubble will burst quick, or maybe it won't. I'm not sure. Yeah, apparently things are happening so quickly in Japan. We need a spreadsheet style app to keep track with it. I can't. I just don't. I use my friends in Discord. They help me with that, but I'm pretty sure they're misleading me most of the time anyway. And another thing I worry about is like, how much money is there really to go around? Like, how much money is there really to go around? And is it really, can there be, like we see a Pikachu illustrator sell for what, like 600,000 or whatever it was, 500, 600,000 or whatever. How much money can really, and then a lily selling for 100,000, like how, and then a 9 lily selling for like 40,000, almost 50,000. Like, how much money can really be spent here? And don't just give me oh, it's China money. It's China money. Because like, that's literally the biggest cop out I've ever heard. And I feel like too many people are giving like the China cap. And I personally, I don't know what's over there, like how much money. I understand there's a lot of money and new money, new to market. They just released Pokemon, like Simplified Chinese. It's big right now. And so it's booming. And so the Japanese stuff is probably getting a huge springboard because legitimately Japanese is the original printing and it's closer to China. So it's like much more obvious than English to kind of boom because of that. But it's not just China. It literally can't just be China. But I mean, am I wrong? Can it just be China? Like, am I literally not just taking the gigantic continent and population that is China and disregarding it, which is like really messed up if I am. But I mean, how is it different than a year ago when they could have been buying Japanese, but now because it's in simplified Chinese, like, wouldn't that mean that the money is mostly going? I don't know. I'd scratch my bare head here because I'm confused. You guys got to help me out in the chat here. Well, make sure and like the stream. Ponga, you're a real one. I appreciate you. I don't say it enough. Like and share the stream. I appreciate you guys. If you get some of your friends in here. Also, if you DM me in the Discord, I'm kind of off of my ranting pedestal here. I'm open to bringing some people on for the live chat. So if you want to come and argue with me, please change my mind. Like, I need someone who's like super bullish, who's just like, dude, you are tripping and you need to just go and buy yourself into oblivion in Pokemon 151 and then buy more, and then when it crashes, buy more. Because like, I'm not buying it right now. I'm just straight up not buying it right now. Like, not even the Pokemon Center ETBs. To be fair, I never do the Pokemon Center ETB thing, so that has nothing to do with that. I probably should be doing the Pokemon Center ETB thing though, but it's just not something I ever do it. Yeah, like there's also the whole situation with the hollows, the regular hollows being worth hundreds of dollars. That can't be a real thing. Yeah, I mean, I had a friend. I don't want to say who it was. He just opened a bunch of Sky Legends boxes that he had just like sitting around, or he got for a good price or whatever. Back before they blew up, and he opened them rather than sell them, and he got so much sauce, but like, it's only sauce. Like, I was looking at the pile. If in the today's market, in 2 months ago market, it's like, cool, you like barely broke even, maybe, if you're lucky, after grading or whatever. So it's very interesting, the market that we're in. And like, everyone now, we're seeing like a bunch of YouTube channels saying like, this is normal, this is great, like this is why this is going to keep happening. Japanese was always undervalued, and now it's just being appreciated more, and the waifu thing is not going away, and you're just an old man, old card shop, and it's in your name, so blah blah blah. um but yeah, if I guess if I haven't started the refinance on my cardboard box, well, those are pretty quick. Like, it's not like a regular house. My box, they move a little quicker on cardboard in California. There's not the same like real estate laws there, so I might be able to take the loan out. Just, you don't get as good a premium as when you take it out on a real house either, though. Um, yeah, I see a lot of people in the hobby joking, and a lot of people in the discords not joking about them doing it, but talking about like businesses taking out loans and people taking out mortgages. And I joke about that a lot, but I worry that people actually did plan and take out loans for this, because it's such a sure thing. Literally, people have been saving and not buying Paldea, Scarlet and Violet. Like, they've been saving for 151. I know people who are like on a no buy because of 151 until the set came out, and I don't think that they're the only people who are doing that. So interesting thought, but I do think that there are people who are actually taking heavy leverage out on this. And I think people did on the Charizard UPCs too. Like, imagine you as a store had your distributor told you that you would be able to order 10 cases. Let's make it a nice round number. Now, that's a lot of cases. I never ordered 10 cases. I ordered like 4 cases of like things like the Celebrations UPC, and I felt like that was a lot. So like, if you ordered 10 cases, and those are like $79.99 or whatever, or $89.99. I think it's $79.99 is what the UPCs were from distribution. And you were expecting them to sell for like 120 or whatever, and then they come out and literally people didn't want them for $100. You're selling them, but you're breaking even. You say, sure, yeah, that's still good. You're breaking even. Like, that's something. But you were literally counting on it. You took out loans. You took out 30,000, whatever, however much it is. 10 cases worth. You sold something in order to buy this, and it just is a total flop. So like, when a business does that, there are ramifications when it's not a home run, when the sure thing is just a break even. It's not just like, oh, well, better luck next time. It's more like, you lose confidence, you lose all that momentum, you lose a lot of your capital. You have to actually then go sell the product. You have to decide what you're doing with it. There's just so much that goes into it, you know? Yes, this whole situation does make me confused, PokeFresh. But yeah, maybe, yeah, Mr. Walrus says you're worrying about things that can't be measured. The only thing that can be is supply, and there's not enough tins in the market. And that's true until it's not, right? Like, I feel like that is only the case until it isn't. And then once it's not, everyone's like, oh yeah, well, I knew that. I mean, they should know that. These things are infinite tens. They're easy grades. Like, why would anyone grade a mint card that is guaranteed to be a 10 basically when you send it? Why would you send it to PSA when really they just want it in their binder for the love of the art anyway? I mean, I don't know. Maybe people like slabs better. I'm still not convinced that people like slabs better than a good old fashioned binder. Like, I mean, I feel like a binder just has a lot more. I don't know. It's just more going for it. It's like more display. Like you can see more, and like you get a sense of completion. Now I'm sitting here shilling binders, and I sell slabs. So if you're thinking about buying something from my store, please go buy some of my slabs. But if you're sitting here as a collector and you're like, I would never buy from your old card shop, your stuff's overpriced. You're probably right about that. But if you do buy from me, appreciate you. I personally think that collecting is about the art and it's about what you like. And if you don't need a 10, then it's a lot cheaper to not get tens. But then at the same time, if you need tens, you should probably be grading it yourself. I don't think a lot of people will grade themselves, and that's why I stay in business for the most part. I don't make good margins on modern English for my distributor. I make good margins on grading cards. And so that's the sole fact that people don't grade cards because they're lazy, they're worried, they don't have the time for it, they can't be bothered. Whatever it is, they got slaughtered by PSA the first time they graded. They were burned by some middleman, so now they're not coming. Whatever reason someone has for not grading, or maybe they just don't want to do a bulk order and pay the membership. I get that. Like if you only have 5 cards you want in slabs, like why are you going to pay a yearly $100+ membership just to get those 5 when you could just pay someone else to do it or just buy the slab? So I get it, but like the fact that people aren't grading keeps me in business. But like I personally think that most of these things, like these art rares in tens that are being sold on eBay just to like random collectors, those collectors would be just as happy with that card in like a binder if they weren't being told they needed the tens. So I feel like the tens are really being are pushed and have been pushed. But I don't know. There's too many dusted takes to tell which one you're talking about here. I mean, there could be all of them, honestly. So I'm just gonna assume it was all of them. Walrus, you are always welcome on my channel, sir. So if you're not butt naked, smoking a cigar on a beach somewhere in Cuba, well, even if you are, just put like a leaf on or something. Put something on. You have to be clothed. That's the one requirement to come on the stream. You must be clothed. So I'll give you time, but yeah, whatever you're doing, if you want to come on the stream, Walrus, you're welcome. Yeah, so a lot of people, including myself, have been saying this. And when people say that, it's also got a long time period between the English release and the Japanese. So a lot of English collectors are going to want to get into it for that reason. I don't think it's a bad idea. Especially you can get it from Pokemon Center right now, 1 box for like $40 if you do it. I highly recommend doing that because like everything I've said, like everything is disregarded. If you can just get it from the Pokemon Center for like their price, like 40 something bucks, that's so clutch. Like that is so clutch to do that. So I mean, if 1 box is enough for you, absolutely. I'll probably grab one, but to be honest, I'm just gonna buy a case when it dips. I'll be transparent. My buy price is gonna be around 70 or 80 bucks. So if the boxes dip to 70 or 80 bucks, I anticipate them, if they go that low, going lower. That's when I'll probably buy in, just a case. And then I'll probably just sit on that. And maybe if it drops lower than that, I'll feel real bad about it. But if it goes to like 40 bucks, that's probably what it should be. But yeah, I personally, I'm torn because like it's so much time between. It's hard to like wait that long. I'm gonna see all this going on, and I just want it. Oh, was I slandering the base set Charizard again? Well, yeah, that's something. That's definitely something. I can't slander base set Charizard. I made too much money on it. Like, I've just literally made too much money grading and selling base set Charizard. Speaking of which, What's up, Mertz? How's it going today? Welcome to the stream. I'm probably super late. Thanks for joining. I'm buying 2 boxes from the PC Japan MSRP to open for fun. Smart man. Yep, that's a great decision. Just going to wait for the hype to go to buy more. I appreciate that sentiment. Mertz, I think I agree with you completely on that. Too much mania and craziness going on right now. That's literally all anyone's talking about. And so it makes me want to run the opposite direction. So I think you and I see eye to eye on that one. But it's one of those things that I'm a little salty they didn't let us buy more than one. Like, is anyone else a little salty about that? Like, what's up with one? Like, come on, how about at least four? Like, Pokemon Center, you can't even get like an SAR guaranteed out of one box, I've heard. So um I mean, they do. That's true. Binders get, especially if you have like cats or pets or anything. Binders, the pet hair sticks to binders like static. And I have cats, so I totally get that. Like, and if you're like a neat freak, then a 10 is in a slab that you can like polish and put it in a graded guard and put it up on a shelf and your pedestal. Like, I'm not a pedestal kind of guy. Like, when I get something that I like, it's like oh cool, yeah, I put that up there so you can see it. My favorite thing that I own, my box, but like that's the only thing that I display, and it's on a cardboard. It's on a piece of oh no, it's not even on cardboard. It's just in literally on the shelf. So I'm not. I don't know. I get that sentiment, but maybe I'm not the right collector there. That's why. So yeah. Let's not define collecting. Yeah, it's hard to define. That's the thing. Like, it is also important to say like what the intentions are. Like, I always should state that most of the time my intentions are to like flip, make money on, or sometimes just to like buy to enjoy. But very rarely do I keep things for extended periods of time unless I think that they're undervalued and I'm like investing or I'm like speculating on them or something. So yeah, it just depends on what your intentions are for sure. Like, if you buy a box at like 150 bucks and you literally don't care, you're like, dude, I don't care. I bought a box at 150. I'm happy with it. I don't have to spend any time thinking about it. Then who cares, right? I mean, it doesn't matter. And if you pull something good, you pull something good, right? So interesting. So you've gotten into slabs, but you're in a binder boy at heart, huh? So I'm interested to hear how that'll play out over time because, like, I did get into slabs for a short period of time, and I have a few slabs, mostly a couple PSA ones that I can like justify having, but the minute someone offers me a good price on them, I'm probably going to sell them. So like I'm really not holding much that's like a collection anymore for my slabs, but my binders I wouldn't even think about selling. Like, I was looking at one of my binders the other day, and I do this sometimes. I literally saw the Ampharos from Neo Genesis that I pulled on Christmas Day when the set came out, and it was super hype, and I got it for Christmas with my cousin, and I made an electric deck with like Flaffy and Ampharos, and that was like my only holo, and it was super nostalgic just seeing that exact card. And like, it's just my childhood binder, so like, even though it's not a good grade, I wouldn't even think about selling that thing because there's no way you could give me an amount of money that would like equal, well, maybe you could, but at what it's worth right now is like a beat up PSA 6 version. It's not even graded. It's like it's got like little chips in it or whatever, probably a 6 if it did. Yeah, no one could, and that's the types of things that I probably wouldn't sell in my binders per se. But I honestly haven't added much to my binders. Like, that binder that I just showed is like my newest binder, and it's pretty old. It's not going to be something that like I finish anytime soon. It's Sandstorm and Hidden Legends and Power Keepers, a few of my favorite sets, but I'm not doing the EXs. I'm just doing the holos and the regular arts, just as like, because it's not expensive and I get them in bulk. So I never buy cards. I buy bulk. I buy like bulk submissions or bulk lots and bulk collections and things. And so like, if I get stuff like that I just don't want to sell for a quarter or like 50 cents on TCG Player, I'll make a binder set of it eventually if I have enough. So I'm not putting money into it as much. So like, I don't even binder collect anymore though. So like, it's hard for me to talk to people about collecting because I also am like someone who sells collectibles, but I'm not that materialistic. I try not to be, and I've always gone the way of more I'm more of a hedonistic person who I prefer like good food and good times with friends and experiences, and I spend my money on those types of visceral experiences more than spend my things money on like collectibles and material things as much. So I'm not the right person to be like a collector boy as like the argument for like for a collector. So like I would love for a collector, a really bullish collector to come on here because like I never talk to collectors as much. Like I interact with collectors because I sell to collectors all the time and like I'm in the room with collectors all the time at like card shops and stuff, but like I don't have deep like conversations with collectors on these live streams. So like I really need to find like a real collector boy, collector girl, collector non-binary, whatever you you know identify as. But I gotta find someone to come on and really speak some sense into me, knock some sense into me, you know. Got your first binder when you're an adult. Is that true, Walrus? Is that or is that a meme? Because like I personally, these binders I have been upgraded, but I've been a binder collector. Like, how else do you really collect like in your pocket, bro? Like, did you not play? Like, because I had to have at least like a deck box. Like, where's the deck box at? So like, I had to at least have one of those because I had a 60 card deck and sleeves usually. So I was never a collector even back in the day. I had my binders for like playables and play sets and stuff. So yeah, I'm definitely not the right person to talk to as like a player seller here. Man, I'm way behind in chat. Let's see. Let's try to catch up here. I'm a slab collector, Pokefresh says. I'll buy mint raw cards, either keep raw or eventually grade, or sell raw once they go up a bit and get more graded cards. I'm picky on. So you do see, actually, you're right. Pokefresh, I should shout out you because we talk all the time, and I feel like you're more of a collector boy than you are like a seller. I even see you throwing some shade at resellers sometime, which power to you. I love it. I know you're not directing that my way or anything, but yes, I definitely got to talk to you more about the collector boy isms because I feel like you've got some of that in your heart. uh, yeah, Mertz, I've seen your binders, man. Dude, your binders are inspiring. Like the whenever I get a Komiya card that I see in like my bulk or whatever, it just hits differently because of your artist specific binders that you always show off. So like really grats to you, man. Your binders are really inspiring. They're really cool. And honestly, I know a lot of people do that, but I haven't seen a ton of people talk about it. So like the fact that you talk about it a lot, I really like that, man. It's I know Mertz started off as a collector boy, but I can't say he's just a pure collector boy anymore. I've seen too many flipper boy habits on his Instagram and his YouTube. Shout out to Mertz there. Go follow Mertz. He's in the chat. He's here hanging out. We appreciate you. He's a great YouTuber, great Instagrammer, just a great guy, great friend. Go follow him on his socials. I can put my stamp of approval on old Mertz there. Walrus, that's another case. I don't know if I can put my stamp of approval on that guy, but definitely give him a follow because I know he's been pumping. He's got some videos he's got planned, I think. Yeah, so are there any stonky regular hollow waifus from V-Star or Dark Fan? Need to go through bulk. I believe so, but I'm not sure. I'm not the right one to think. You're probably asking chat there, so I hope chat helped you out. I'm going to be skipping some questions. If I skip your question or something, I'm sorry. I'm trying to catch up a little bit, so I'm going to skip a bit here. I'm apparently a 151 hater who whoa. He's only mid in a 1 through 10. In a top 10, he's only mid because he's like number 4 or number 5. But he's not mid in the set. He's top tier in the set, okay? I had a regular hollow in my top 3, so I can't be that mid. I can't be that, I don't know. You guys think that regular hollows are ever going to recover? I guess the fact that these Japanese waifus are like $600, $700, anything could happen, right? If that's the case, a Beware hollow could possibly be, worth something someday. Who knows? All right, let's see, where are we at here? Yeah, I actually, Walrus, funny you say that. I hated penny sleeves as a player for the longest time. I would not buy them. I wouldn't touch penny sleeves. I only use dragon shields. Anyone who used to play, like, I like the clear dragon shields if I want just like a clear sleeve because they had a little more structure to them, a little more rigidity. Um, and they didn't bend. They're not as flimsy as like the penny sleeves. They just felt like they protected your card a little bit better. And when I played, I needed the dragon shields with the matte back because they wouldn't be slippery and slide all over the place. So definitely, I didn't use penny sleeves, funny enough, until probably 2019 when I got back in the hobby as a collector. Because like I didn't get back in the hobby with Hidden Fates to play the game. Like I got in to hunt that Charizard. So man, you guys are crazy. Like sleeves were definitely a thing as a kid. Like and other kids had them. Like I literally on the playground would like have a pack of sleeves with my cards because I would be making decks in my we'd have like a period between like our other periods. There's like homeroom kind of thing. And I would always use that time to hang out with my friends and we'd be like writing stuff on paper, deck lists, and we'd be building decks and trading. And then eventually they didn't let us bring the Pokemon cards anymore. But like we always had sleeves. Like the fact that people say they didn't have sleeves is blowing my mind. Like, is this normal? Like, I know that everyone talks about not taking care of their childhood cards, and just like throw them around on the pavement, like unsleeved. But I didn't ever do that. Like, did everyone just like destroy their cards? Yeah, I mean, even those cards get destroyed though, the ones in sleeves and stuff, because you're not like very carefully taking them out of the pack. You just rip in the pack, you know. Thanks so much for coming by, Ponga. I know you're already gone by this point, but we appreciate you coming by here, man. Thank you. Good seeing you as always. Yeah, and the thing is though, so everyone always says that they have cards that they don't care if they go up in price. I just don't believe it. I really don't. Like I believe that there are cards that it doesn't matter where you're like, yeah, I would have bought this at $5 or $100. I'm glad it's $5. And when I bought it and it's like $50 or $100 now, but I would still own it. I bet you though, if it was worth nothing, you wouldn't even cross your mind per se, because that would mean Pokemon is dead. So price matters just a little bit. I was talking to Alex Nostalgianomics today in Discord, and he and I were sort of disagreeing on things because I think we were misunderstanding each other as far as like what we were talking about and the semantics of what was being said. Because like I was saying that in the early 2000s that I thought Pokemon was like dead per se, like because I was not seeing a lot of movement of it. I was around at that time playing Magic and card shops and stuff. And he was saying that he was quoting a price that he had pulled up with the numbers and everything of an $800 base set booster box. He's like, dude, how is it dead if it was $800 in 2015? Like that's not dead, bro. Like and like that, and so I would argue that in 2015 it was very dead, and that $800 is a very small amount. And so like it's sort of semantics is what we were, I think, arguing, because like dead versus not thriving like can mean different things. And what I was sort of trying to say is that it wasn't thriving, not that it was completely dead. So and I think that was where we were misunderstanding. But I do think that price matters, and I think that people care a lot less when the price is stagnant. You even see that with like Scarlet and Violet and like Clayburst. Like Clayburst recently in Japanese was the most expensive Japanese set, right? And it just got a reprint, and it just suddenly is super cheap now because people don't care about it anymore. So yeah, I don't know. Oh yeah, absolutely, Mertz. We appreciate you. Thanks for coming by. Well, that was the thing about Dragon Shields, Walrus. You needed them to be kind of thick because, like, when you're shuffling your deck and you're pile shuffle, you're not counting out pile shuffling. You're just like shuffling it like a barbarian. You need something to protect your cards because, like, you shuffle that thing. You know how the green shiz, he always like talks about shuffling his decks for fun at his table. He'll just take a deck and start shuffling it kind of as like a habit out of like a stress reliever. It's very much like that when you have good sleeves. It can feel that way. So you have to have good sleeves to do that. If you ever try to shuffle a sleeve of a stack of penny sleeves, let me just say you're going to be playing 60 card pickup very, very quickly after doing that, because them boys are slick. They're slick boys. So I called out Pokefresh on his collector boy habits, and so he's given us an explanation. So the reason I went collector boy is I sold 99% of my childhood PC over the past 2 years, and it kind of hurts. So I'd rather now just collect and get the good feels back. I got you, man. I got you. I don't have a lot of regrets from selling because I oftentimes try not to like think that way, but there is something I have regretted selling, and I always will regret this. And it's gone so far as a year after I sold the item, I reached back. I've never done this before. I never will again either. I don't think I might, but I doubt it. I can't see it happening. I sold my childhood shadowless Charizard. Okay, hear me out. Hear me out, folks. I've told a story about my childhood Charizard many times. And this is not that Charizard, thankfully. So I still have that Charizard, the one that I scammed my cousin out of by trading a Jungle Pikachu for a hollow base set Charizard. I still have that Charizard. But I had another childhood Charizard, a shadowless Charizard. And at the time, when I was binder collector boying in 2019, the Charizard was worth like 3 or 400 bucks. The shadowless Charizard was 300, 400 bucks. I already had my binder collection. I was never going to do a shadowless set, I didn't think. I just wanted my childhood collection. I didn't have all shadowless, so I didn't care. And so I thought to myself, okay, I can sell my childhood Charizard for a good amount of money, more than I'd ever sold a card for in the hobby, and make good money off of it, and potentially fund my hobby now that I was enjoying with my fiance, opening a bunch of hidden fates and tag teams and just what, shining legends, whatever we'd find at the store when we were ripping packs. It was a lot of fun. We were doing that, so I decided to sell the Charizard to fund that. Obviously, a terrible decision. Like, I mean, looking back on it, selling a base set shadowless Charizard, which is in nice condition. It was like a 6 or a 7, probably. It wasn't all bent up. For some hidden fates 10s, basically. They were 40 or 50 bucks at that time too. I probably got 5-6 hidden fates 10s out of it. It wasn't a good decision. So I sold it, felt great about it at the time. Took me a couple days to sell it. Did it on Mercari. It was one of my first big sales. I was really happy. Just bragged about it to my coworkers at work. They're like, dude, that's a Charizard. I haven't seen that since I was like 6 years old. I didn't regret that until the boom happened in like 2020, 2021. And I was thinking to myself, like, man, this thing's worth a lot of money now. I wish I still had it. I thought it was going to be worth more. And for some reason, I got the urge that I wanted it back. And so, I contacted that person. I went back through my DMs and I contacted that person. And I asked them, I was like, hey, would it be possible if you still had that Charizard I sold you a year or so ago, 2 years ago, however long it was, if I bought it at market price now for whatever today's market price was, because it's my childhood, blah, blah, blah. I gave him a sad story and be like, hey, if you wouldn't mind, or if you sold it, if you could hook me up with the person you sold it to. Dude didn't even know. He had no, he's like, what? He's like, Charizard? I bought so many Charizards at that time. He's like, I'm so sorry, man. I have no idea. And so it was such a funny situation because I think, to put it in perspective for you, I felt really regret for that for a long time. And I still kind of regret that because I think it's a bad decision to trade hidden fates for my childhood Charizard. But at the time, it felt like a good decision. So I try not to feel so that's something I've regretted. But at the same time, it's a funny story. And it is what it is. I could always buy back another Charizard, shadowless Charizard, at like 300 or 400 bucks probably. So it is what it is, I personally still love the hobby though, and I don't lose that feeling that I had towards Charizard, right? So yeah, so oh yeah, so Mertz is agreeing with me to a certain extent. I think that some people probably don't care a little bit more than others, but I think people care a little bit at least. You know what I mean? I think that some people probably, yeah, they really don't care that, but they care a little bit, at least a little bit. Yeah. So it's interesting this comment because I'm a PSA 1 collector, and so I know that you're talking about in relation to value and the whole conversation that we're having. So I'm not. It's just funny because just reading it, isolating the comment, it just makes me laugh because as a PSA 1 collector, And as someone who sells a ton of PSA ones, it's just funny because one man's trash is another man's treasure. Let's just say that. Let's just say that. What's up, Comte? I appreciate Comet K. I appreciate you coming in. Sorry for butchering your name. I do that to everyone on the live streams. Like, I wouldn't sell my CGC 9.5 or CGC 9 EX Air reverse hollows, mostly because they're not worth the time to sell. Totally get that, man. I personally think that when a 9 vintage, like, reverse hollow, like, even like a Watsy hollow is selling for like 20 or 30 bucks, it's hard, and it probably is relevant. So for some people it's relevant, but for me, like, at $20 or $30 on a card like that, it's really hard for me to justify it. So like it really is that comment. I like that comment because it really shows that it just depends on your perspective. Because like I actually was thinking about this. This is something, chat. Now we're gonna go off on a little bit of a tangent here. Chat, I want to know something. Do you guys think about when you're, first of all, are you all, this is going to be a question mostly for resellers, but for people who are reselling, even if you're a hobbyist who's just reselling a little bit on the side, I was thinking about this the other day because I watch another YouTuber called Daily Refinement, really great YouTuber, shout out to the channel, that's just general, more of like a clothes seller, reseller, overall salesman, but he does like overall eBay kind of salesmanship help. And he was talking about, it was kind of interesting. And I just, seeing that comment, just lost my train of thought. Sorry, chat. Okay. No, he didn't get rid of his sorry, that comment threw me out. He did not get rid of his channel. He just he doesn't post like I post. He posts like I post, I should say. He doesn't post all the time. He posts very infrequently, so that's why he kind of just posts when he wants to. Oh no. Oh no, I just submitted that Zard. I folded in half. Oh no. Well, even the thing about base set Zard, Mertz, is base set Zard is very forgiving to grade. So if anyone's thinking about grading a base set Zard, just do it. Like, it's, every grade is collectible. There are certain cards that you want a 1 through 10 grade of, and that's one of those beautiful cards that you want any grade of. Like, literally every grade of that card can sell. So that's definitely it's definitely a fine grade. Nice. I caught up to the chat finally. And I completely lost track of my train of thought. That's great. Okay, well, chat, I appreciate you guys for being here. I finally caught up to the chat. And so if you have any last minute questions, I'm going to call it there. And I'm going to call it a night. I'm getting kind of tired. It's almost like midnight for a lot of people. And it's like 10:30 for me. So shout out to Mertz, because he just go to Mertz's channel, Leaf Green Goblin. You'll see what he's doing on his channel over there. It's pretty funny. Yeah, so all right, so I appreciate you guys. I hope this chat proved to be useful for you. The channel down below, I will try to put Professor Oak's Discord down below in the link so that you guys can join up. I highly recommend you do. I'm active there, far more active than I am on YouTube. I guess I'll try to go live more on YouTube if you like these. I kind of had fun doing it, so if you guys had fun listening, then I'll definitely try to do more, make it a little bit more concise next time. But I really didn't have a huge plan. I just kind of wanted to talk about the market and talk about like what was happening in Japan and have it on record in a live, like what I thought about it, because it's like easy to say after the fact, like, oh yeah, blah blah blah, X, Y, or Z. But like when I actually have some records or receipts on it, it's nice that I can look back and say, okay, this is how I was feeling at the time. Yes, now I'm feeling this way after the fact, and it's nice to have it on record. So if you guys are here and you participated, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here for this late night stream. I had a lot of fun on this dusted rant, but still fun. I appreciate you. One day we'll get Walrus to come on the stream and he can tell me how dusted I am in person. I don't think he can change my mind. I do think he has some okay points on things sometimes. I can read through the a lot of the sarcasm and a lot of the memes, and I agree with a lot of what he's trying to throw down. But I do also disagree on some things, and so I think it would be nice to have him on sometime. So that's throwing the gauntlet down for you, Walrus. Obviously, Pokey Fresh, we got to have you on the channel talk collector boyisms, because I am just not knowledgeable on collector boyisms. Like my collector gene, it's just not right. I guess it was there when I was younger, and then I found the ability to play the cards, and then I just lost all my ability to collect. Like once I started playing, it was all downhill. So yeah, yeah, it's one of those things. You fold your first base set Charizard in half, Mertz. It doesn't feel good. You lose a little bit of your soul inside, so you probably don't do it again, or maybe you do. Who knows? It depends on how little or how much of a soul you have left. That's right. All right, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to call it a night before it gets too late, and we will see you guys on the next one. We will be having a special guest on our next Cardboard Hands podcast, so that'll be coming up this Monday. We have another recording, so if you enjoy long-form podcast type YouTube videos, we're going to have another one for you back at it. And it's going to be featuring a special, never before featured guest on the podcast. And you guys are going to like it. So we'll see you guys later. All right. Have a good one. Until next time. Don't FOMO into Japanese modern. All right. Whatever you do, that's one thing I want to say before we just take your time, watch, make informed decisions. All right. Peace, guys.